This is Trooper Boyce with the Ohio State Patrol. It's Friday, August 17th, 2018 at 12:01 hours. Could I have everyone in the room state your name, please?
This is Representative Stephanie Howse.
All right, this is Gamal Serboima.
Okay. We're currently at the Rife Office State Tower, and this is a reference to Highway Patrol Case 1-8-210-019-0001. Okay, Representative Howse, could you state your complete name and your title for the record, please?
Yes, it's Stephanie Howse, S-T-E-P-H-A-N-I-E. Last name is Howse, H-O-W-S-E, and I'm a state representative of the Howse District, basically in the Cleveland area.
Okay, thank you. And then, since you just came in, could I have you state your name and just...
Yes, Sarah Cherry. I'm legal counsel to the House Democratic Caucus.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Representative Howse, how long have you been an elected official for?
A little over 3.5 years.
3.5 years. And I understand that you are a member of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, and what is your official capacity?
I am the current president of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, which is an informal group of black legislators that work here in the Ohio Legislature, the Ohio General Assembly.
Okay. So the reason we're here today, we were advised in July of this year that basically there was a letter disseminated by Representative which basically was reported to have had forged signatures on it of the members of the OLBC. Can you kind of tell me about the letter, kind of the circumstances surrounding that?
So there was a letter, and because I want to make sure that I have like dates and stuff correctly. So can you hold on one?
No, absolutely.
I don't know if you want to pause it or whatever, but
just leave it on. And then if you want, I can send you a copy of that if you don't take notes.
So where is this thing? Who did I send this to? Sure that I am. Alright, so basically as far as the content of the letter, when you look at the content of the letter, there was a letter that represented to the Columbus Police Department about basically requesting a public records request regarding child abuse of just this situation and the other situations in her belief of the Columbus Police Department's lack of neglect of taking seriously child abuse things. So that was the content of the letter, and she listed, it was 13 members' names, signatures, along with her signature on the letter. There's no dispute as far as the content, what she's bringing up, that's not the issue. The issue is that the method that she decided to go by as far as public records requests, things of that nature. I had a conversation that was on March 28th. We had an extensive conversation. It was about 74 minutes because I have documentation, whatever. We were on the phone for 74 minutes, going back and forth of why, again, this route of trying to get everybody collection. I mean, if their end goal was getting public records, myself, Senator Tavares, Charlene Tavares, and Representative Amelia Sykes were really trying to come up with a strategy of how she can get it, not doing it the way that she wanted to do this public letter, things of that nature. I'm like, that's not a good idea. And that's organizationally, when we come together as a group of legislators. Our focus and attention has been on the state and dealing with different state departments, as we've done with the education, when it came to medical marijuana. That's how we have used, since I've been, president of the organization, and historically, we use our name coming together in having, conversation as it relates to state business, because we are state legislators. So that was a conversation that we had on March 28th. On March 29th, I guess she had drafted this letter. She had sent me a text. They say, hey, I sent you this letter, such and such, and I get text, and you just don't pay any mind. It's like, okay, I'll get to it when I get to it. And then that was the Friday, this March 30th, somebody said, did you all send this letter? I'm like, what letter are you talking about? And they was like, this letter that went to City Council, the Mayor of Columbus, police. I'm like, what are you talking about? So then I go back, I looked at my email as a draft of the letter. The draft of the letter that she sent to me had her signature and Representative Glenn Holmes' signature. Everyone else was blank, right? Because she actually got Glenn Holmes' permission to do that. That was on March 29. That was right after her text. But according to this Friday letter that I'm seeing, she had sent the text, but she said, I sent this letter at 4:15. But according to the official letter that she actually sent, she sent it Thursday, March 29th at 4:58 p.m. to the City of Columbus with all these other signatures on it. So it was a time frame from 4:14 p.m. to 4:58 where she only sent the two signatures on there, hers and Lynn as a draft, but then a couple minutes later sent the full thing over. On that Friday, after I received, because again, I'm putting stuff together, that Friday after I received the full letter that had everybody's signature on there, I called, left her a message. Do this. Can you give me a call back? She did not call me back. I contacted her office because based on the email, how she sent it out, it was sent from her office email, to say, oh, a call. She never returned my phone call. And then I tried her again on Saturday. When did you do this? Let's have a conversation. Then on Monday, that Monday, I got a call from our Howse Caucus that she was trying to send out a press release with the letter attached. I never know if she did or she didn't send the letter with it attached. This same letter that had all of our signatures that she did not get my approval of and other members' approval because they hadn't talked to her. I talked to her. She talked with Representative Tadia Golonsky. She had a conversation with Representative Alicia Reich. She had a conversation with Catherine Ingram. She didn't talk to any of the state senators and then other people. They just hadn't gotten back in touch with her. So at the moment that I heard that she was doing this press release, I called OLBC's attorney. I said, this is a situation going on. In a conversation, she won't, talk to me. What do you do? He was like, okay. He was like, that's when he was like, I think we possibly should do a cease and desist letter. I contacted. We kind of have like a leadership group of OLBC. I contacted. We got on the phone, had a conversation. Like we probably should just have a cease and desist letter for her to stop putting this information out there. Like this is what members of the organization indicated to. Get a public records request, which was not the case, on the behalf of OLBC. So that was that. The attorney drafted up the letter. And then I guess it was an additional 2 weeks later, she sent another email out to the Columbus Police Department indicating basically that the senators and the representatives did not get a response back from you on our public records request. So again, you're alluding to the letter that and the signatures that you've gathered that it's legitimate of what was requested. And this was after the cease and desist, all this type of stuff. And then that's kind of where I have went, I was going back and forth, like, should I even really pursue this? Should I not? There have been things in the paper, very, disparaging comments she's made about me. I haven't really said anything. I've really said this is her personal agenda. And, she just didn't take my advice, which you can do. You don't have to take my advice, but you can't do things on your own. I went to the administration here in the Ohio House to do an internal complaint. No one necessarily because of some of the internal things that are going on. We had a speaker, we didn't have a speaker, now we have a new, and all this stuff. It's been in limbo, and I'm like, what should I do about my name and the integrity of my name? So looking at different options, I was like, well, maybe I should go to the Columbus or Franklin County, and then it ended up pursuing the things with the Ohio Highway State Patrol. And at the end of the day, it's not taking it seriously to protect someone's name. I feel like that's a real grave offense. And I was really explicitly clear when I sent her 2 emails. The first, like, please stop using our names. And at that time, she was the second vice president. You have to have integrity in using people's name, and you're really breaking people's trust. And at the end of the day, I asked for an apology. She responded back in the email. It was her option to use people's names. That is not how you can't do that. You just cannot do that. And she is very convinced herself that what she did was correct. She had permission to do it, and that's what she's going to stick to. She's getting a lot of press on what she's doing, and she feels very entitled to do that. And if a person can't see what they did was incorrect when it comes to me and using my name and my likeness, that's just problematic. Being a public official, one way or the other. If I support you, what you asked for, but I didn't, and I was trying to work through a strategy so that she can get what she wanted, and this is where we are.
Okay. So, let's get back to the beginning a little bit. So you had a conversation with her on the phone. You said, I believe, for 74 minutes.
It's 74 minutes, and because I got a copy of my phone records, and I can provide you a copy to see her on the phone. 74 minutes. We had a conversation.
Okay. So you had the conversation. Did she mention during that conversation about drafting any type of letter?
No, she just, and I mean, again, she was getting very upset of wanting to know why we as legislators would not put our name, and she specifically said, I don't understand what's the biggest thing, all I'm asking for is a damn signature. She was like, you Negroes are scared. That's what she said. I'm just asking for a damn signature, and our ancestors will be rolling over in their grave to have an understanding that y'all just don't want to participate. That's what she said. We were actually on the phone talking with each other.
Okay, so obviously it was talking about the subject matter of the public records request.
This is about getting signatures to get a public records request. Her reasoning behind getting everyone's name on this letter, because if it's coming from a collection of people, then you would have to get a public records request to all these different people, and you would see if everybody is getting the same information. That is the strategy that she wanted to employ.
Okay. How was that conversation left when you guys hung up the phone?
Again, it was just like, I just don't agree with you, Representative Sykes. Representative, this is just not a good strategy. And so it was kind of left in limbo. There was no yes, and I told her, I was like, I'm not signing my name on that. I'm like, no, I'm not from Columbus. I don't even know all the dynamics. I hear what you're saying, and I did not feel comfortable adding my name to this letter, not knowing all the things and the dynamics that are going on here, and still in my mind, because again, understanding that she was very passionate about that, Once we got off the phone, that's why I tried to solicit the help of like Senator Charlene Tavares, who is based here in Columbus, who probably knows a little bit more than me. And, we had worked on having a conference call with her the next day at 5 o'clock. And that's the thing, too, is she said that, like, we were, like, and I have these phone records where we were trying to work with, to get to a strategy so she could get the public records that she wanted. She did not want to listen or take the advice, and she only wanted to do it her way. And that's where we are.
Okay. So, the next day, the 29th of March, you received a text or an email?
It was both.
It was both? And did that email contain a draft of the letter?
It contained a draft of the letter with her signature and Representative Glenn Holmes' signature. I hadn't looked at it, though. Like, I never looked at it because, again, I have a whole life of slew of things going on. I never looked at it. She did send it. She sent a text. I sent it to you. As you can see, I never responded. I never said, cool, okay.
Right.
I received. She sent me a text. I never looked at the letter until it was realized the next day on the 30th that she sent it out. Okay. Even though the letter is dated incorrectly, the letter that she sent out said March 30th, but she actually sent it on March 29th based on the information that I have received, which I never looked at. That's what I'm saying. I never looked at her draft or anything to say one thing or the other until after it was done, because again, if you can see right now, I got over 100 emails. Life is happening, and you just don't jump when people tell you to jump.
Was there, and asking just directly about the letter, was there something significant about why she wanted it done that quick? Was there something that had to do with that date of March 29th or 30th?
I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay.
And I ain't going to even put that, I don't know.
Okay. That's fine. Let's see. So what was the actual date or time that you learned that this letter had actually been sent by Representative?
It was on March 30th. I haven't looked at my phone logs. I'm looking at this because I sent her a text on March 30th at 4:13 p.m. on March 30th. So it must have been, it was some earlier in the day, and I can look back when I actually received the email. But it was that day, sometime that day.
But it was on the 30th.
It was on the 30th. It was the 30th.
So in the event that a letter or a document is released from the OLBC, what's the typical procedure or protocol for releasing a letter?
Everything is, before you use anybody's signatures, you ask each member who wants their signature to be yes. They give you a confirmation, either verbally and or they'll just, writtenly, like, okay, I will sign on to this letter. My office collects the signatures, and then, I send it out, or, we have a person that works with us who will send, well, usually when it comes to all state business, it's just me. Usually I've been the one who have put the letters together or give it to the member who, the complete letter, send it to the member, like, here it is, I put it together, then they will make updates other than that.
Okay. But typically, everyone would send some type of confirmation that you have my permission to do this. I agree to sign on.
Correct. Okay. Yes. You get confirmation from every person's name who says yes. If they say yes, then their name goes on the letter. If they do not say or they don't respond, because that happens too, then their letter, like if you did not talk to anybody, then their name does not go on the letter because they didn't give you a yay or a nay.
Okay.
And there have been times where letters in line, members like, well, why wasn't my name on it? Because you didn't respond. So that's why your name isn't on the letter. And I, like I said, if you need that, I could actually show you in that cases, because we've had, we've probably did like maybe 4 or 5 like joint letters. And as you can see, everybody's name has not been on it, because again, they probably just did not respond. So.
Okay. I want to ask some questions in a minute, particularly about the signatures of the members, but for that purpose, I'm going to show you a document here. And this, to my understanding, in my book, it's referenced as document 4. And I believe, I'm going to ask you, is this a representative copy of the letter that was sent from Representative the Mayor's office?
Yes.
And on the third page, you're looking at it has the signatures of several members of the caucus on there. Is that how electronic signatures would appear on a document?
Yes.
Okay. How are those signatures, I guess, one, placed on a document, and how are they stored? Like how does one place them on there? How's that done?
So usually a electronic signature, is sent to the person, and you do like a copy paste or insert copy paste of the signature.
Are the signatures placed on some type of a computer file where they're stored?
Yeah, well, they were for these, as I understand it, the person I had a fellow that was in my and I'm saying an LSC fellow. Angel Guzman, who was the second week that he's working in my office because I haven't had a legislative aide, and there was another aide that said, hey, can you give me these signatures? And he was like, okay, I will. So he looked for it, and he sent them from one office to the next to Kanika Dalton, who worked in office.
Okay. And those are some of the questions I was going to ask you next, as far as...
And so this is the other thing. If someone would have actually seen this. So you see on here, it has, and on some of them, it has people's email addresses on here, right? If it was actually looked at, reviewed, things of that nature, I'm not representative of the 18th district. Talia Galansi isn't representative of the 17th district. No one, again, I didn't see, at least I would have been able to say, hey, I don't represent this district on a letter that you sent out. So yeah. Then you have some, I'm going to just...
Can we show the initial one that had the 2 days to... he's going to show you one and let us know if that's what the one that you originally saw. If you look at those things.
No, that's what it was sent to my office. I didn't see it though until after I saw.
You reviewed that one?
When I got, this was the letter that I actually saw on Friday, March 8th.
Okay.
Right? March 30th, that Friday. This was the letter, and I was like, hold on, because then I'm looking at like what happened, what's going on. When I looked, then I saw this letter that only had like the blank sign here, spaces with her and Representative Glenn Holmes' signature on it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and you kind of talked about it a minute ago. Reference to the signatures, how did Representative the copy?
So right here, again, from my understanding, Kanika Dalton, who is a legislative aide of Representative, called Angel Guzman, who was the temporary person in my office, and like I said, I think it was like maybe his second week, maybe in there, was like, hey, can you give me all of these signatures? And he sent them over to Kanika Dalton.
Okay. The signatures that are maintained in the file, is that just because it's a signature of an official, is there any kind of security as far as you have to sign in to access that, or is it a document you can access?
Right. Again, there is nothing, I mean, unless you sign into the computer that's there, that's about.
That's it, okay. So again, referring to the actual letter sent from signatures on there, at any point did you give her authorization or permission to use your signature?
No.
Okay. Excluding Representative Holmes, were you aware of any other members that gave authorization?
No. I know she actually did not talk to any of the senators. Like, she had been calling. People knew she was calling them, but they hadn't physically actually talked to her. I know she had conversations with Kathy Ingram, Tavia Golansky, Representative Tavia Golansky, Representative Kathy Ingram, Alicia Reese, excuse me. She had a conversation with Representative Herschel Craig, who told her no, she didn't use his signature. And Leader Strayhorn, who again told her no, his name never came up on there. But with the women legislators, one way or the other, that she actually talked to, and told her no, they're on that letter. Everyone else, she didn't talk to. She reached out to them, but from my understanding, did not have a conversation with them one way or the other.
But there's two members that you, Strayhorn and
Herschel Craig
specifically said no.
Nope.
Okay.
And Glenn Holmes, who told her yes.
Okay, and that's why his signature is on the draft. Okay. So after you found out about the issuance of the letter sent to the mayor's office in the city of Columbus, did you have any type of conversation with representatives in this matter or the letter?
Again, I made several attempts to actually talk with her. She never returned my phone call. Never returned an email. After I sent her the 2 emails, she sent a correspondence to the whole group indicating that she used her option to use our signatures, used her option as second vice president to use the signatures, and then she was calling on like my resignation and then Herschel Craig's resignation and a whole lot of things that don't pertain to this.
To your knowledge, has there ever been a letter that's been released from the caucus or someone took it upon themselves to place other signatures on it?
No.
Okay. And we talked a little bit ago, you referred to the cease and desist letter. And when that was drafted, was that a letter that you talked to the attorney to have drafted, or was that something that other members of the caucus also agreed that should be sent?
It was with the leadership of our caucus, which was myself, Representative Herschel Craig, Representative Janine Boyd, and Representative Thomas West. And I can look back at call logs. Representative Amelia Sykes is a part of it, but I don't know if she was on that call at that time. But the majority of our leadership made this decision collectively to get our attorney to send her a cease and desist letter.
Okay. And regarding the cease and desist letter, do you know, did she comply with the request with what you were asking of her? I can't say for sure. Did she do it? We sent it, that was the earlier part of April, and as I indicated, it just happenstance that someone sent a copy of this email that she had sent to CPD, again, alluding to the original letter. This was after she received the cease and desist. Things that she's been sitting on from her computer, who she wants. It's just, the only reason I know is because somebody happened to send it to me. I can't tell you from that point, has she been sending letters? She does a lot of email sending. I mean, if somebody does I don't know. I cannot confirm one way or the other. Okay. But I do know she has used the inference of that letter publicly, saying that the senators and the representatives
are requesting information, the public records requests, based on the letter, which I did not give her permission to use my signature.
Okay.
And that was after the cease and desist letter.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to refer to a couple documents. And these are the documents that were emailed to me by you, Ms. Cherry, a couple weeks ago. And so I'm just going to refer to some of those documents. The first one that we refer to is, in my book, it's document 3, and this would be number 3 in the index. And this, I believe, is a representative copy of the draft letter. Could you tell and verify if that is accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And again, you did not view the draft until after you already found out about the dissemination of the letter?
Yes.
Okay. Document 4. This is a copy of the actual letter that was sent. I just want to ask you about your specific signature on here. Is that your electronic signature?
Yes, it is.
And did you give her permission to use that signature?
No, I did not.
Okay. Thank you. Next document, when you look at this, is identified as document 6, same as the index. And you talked about, and you mentioned a press release that was sent out mentioning the reference to the OLBC.
It was attached. The letter was attached to the press conference, so like it was attached to the press conference or whatever, press release or whatever.
And I'm going to ask you, is this a representative copy of the press release you're referring to?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This one is document 8, and that's a copy of the cease and desist letter. Is that an accurate copy of that?
Yes.
Okay. And again, you're not aware if she retracted any of the statements or letters that she sent out? Okay.
No, she has not retracted it. She maintains that she was given permission to do it, and that is her. That's what she continues to say, and she continues to say it internally and externally.
Okay.
She was given permission to do it.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on that, what she's saying? She said that she received permission to do it.
That's what she said. That's all that she has said. She was given permission to do it. And again, we have not had a conversation to explore, well, what does that mean?
Right.
This is what she has said in the paper, in emails to other colleagues.
Okay.
Talk about this is document number 9, and this document contains an email from CPD referencing the press release. Do you recall, did you ever receive the documents that were requested from the letter? Did you get or receive that public records request?
No, not to my knowledge.
Do you recall if you ever received an email pertaining to that request?
Not to my knowledge. These I was able to get is because someone else received it and said, hey, did you see it? Not because it was directly, I was included in the email chain of anything. This is just like secondhand knowledge that shows, oh really? Like it's news to me.
Gotcha. Okay. I wanted to ask you, I had just looked in some open source internet searches regarding the matter, and I know you stated after the letter was sent, she didn't respond to you via phone, text, email, anything like that. Do you ever recall seeing this email?
Yeah, this is the thing. This was on after the cease and desist letter where she said this is what gave her, she used her option as second vice president.
Okay.
This was that, yes.
So that was her explanation?
Yes, like she used her option as second vice president to construct a letter and use the things. Yes, this is.
I just want to ask you if you recall seeing that.
Yes.
Has there ever been a time where a second vice president or someone under the command can go and utilize anyone else's signature?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Because even prior to becoming the president of OLBC, the last time I was the second vice president, and I never did that.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So I guess one of the last questions I have is, as a result of your signature being used without your permission, have you personally suffered a loss as a result of this? And that could be personally or politically.
I guess that's to be continued. This is still earlier on. I think even politically, there is, because of the coverage of it, there could be, and I haven't looked at comments, in all of these sections, but there is a presumption that myself doesn't support, victims who are being abused because I didn't sign on, or I'm disputing, signing on to this child letter. So that could have political damage to my, to my career moving forward, of not standing up for vulnerable populations when that never was the case. It's the methods in which representation chooses to utilize, and again, even when you look now at news stories, it's like, oh, it's this confrontation going on between a legislature who don't want to don't want to stand up for child abuse victims or domestic violence victims. So that's right now, because it's still new. But again, I can see politically how someone can use that in a future election, things of that nature against me that can cause harm to me when that is not the case. It has never been the case. I stand up for people for a variety of things. It's just I didn't agree with practice and believe there are other ways you can get things done, because you're dealing with people, right? And like I said, everybody has their tactics. This is just not a tactic. I've never used in my history, in office and out of office, I've never put in not one public records request, not one in this form, ever. And so now for someone to do that, and now to be cast in a light that I don't stand up for vulnerable people, it can be problematic. And at the end of the day, all I asked was for an apology. That's not a lot to ask for you to just claim that you can do it. You can use an option to use my name, and then go in on, in newspapers to say all these very negative things about me, which live forever, is very problematic for me.
Okay. And I'm going to ask the same question regarding the caucus in general. Has the caucus suffered a loss as a result of this matter?
Again, it's the thing of putting the caucus, like, the Ohio Legislative Caucus has been going through, it's going through stuff, and, just because of personnel, you're still dealing with people, and we've been working really hard to lift up our name, to get back to the basics, to fighting for, minorities and African Americans in the policy realm, and potentially it could, because it seems like, this group of African American legislators can't get their stuff together. Everybody can't get on the same page, and it shows this internal fighting. And so, it probably does give people second looks of like, is this body, can they get it together? And it probably can, be damaging. But again, if this is in the here and now, it's always what will come, down the line. Somebody will always bring it, potentially, it has the potential to be brought up, having the organization in a negative light, when we've really been working to try to restore some lost faith that had been lost in the organization or this collective of, this caucus and group of people.
Okay. I think it's all the questions I have. Is there anything that you want to add that you feel I didn't ask about that you want to emphasize? Anything that you feel is important that I should know about?
Again, it's getting back to it is not the issue of child abuse or domestic violence. Is the matter and the process and which representative to ask for the public records request and use my name, my likelihood to get these public records from the Columbus Police Department, which I have a problem with, which she says that she got permission to do, which that's a very generic statement. She did not get it personally from me. Right, and like I said, being on the conversation with someone so long, trying to get them to understand that why this is not a good idea politically and even just professionally. If you're trying to go on, there are things you are going to have disagreements with people. You do ways that you want to have systems be responsible. I'm going through that right now myself. But I'm not, every time I'm getting into conflicts with systems, are going to air everything out in the public because it lives forever, and what is today may not be tomorrow. Trying to get her to understand that she has a history of doing this. I don't know if it's been to this extent, but really, just really trying to use, her voice to highlight issues that are permanent, and regardless of anybody else will say, whatever she wants about anybody just to get to her means. That's been her MO, and really trying to be thoughtful, because I do have a responsibility not only to represent all the legislators, to really think about, not where people are today, but where people may be tomorrow and in the future. And you have to think that that's my responsibility as the president of this group of people, of making sure that everybody's protected. So in that conversation that I initially had with Representative, that you can't just think about yourself, you have to think about your colleagues, and she totally disregarded that, and then is trying to change the conversation. People don't care about child abuse, and she know it was never about that. It was about the methods that you were trying to use to get the public records. That's what it's always been about. And there were people that were willing to help her, because there were other things that, again, she was coming crying about other things like, oh, I'm gonna be this, and again, people helped her. And she didn't have a problem with that. But again, if you don't do anything, again, when they had when the Columbus Police Department had listed her as a suspect, we all rallied together behind her and said that wasn't right. She didn't have a problem with that, But again, as soon as you didn't do what she wanted to get done, now she wants to change the situation. That's not right. And again, it is serious to use somebody's signature that told you no. That's serious. It's people in this institution. They've been fired and everything else. And you do that as an elected official, it is betraying your colleagues' trust. It is. And then after, you can say all these derogatory things about me. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. And then you're going to, walk around here like you haven't done it. Highbrow House. You're still dealing, regardless of this title. I am a person. I am a woman with integrity, got life issues. Like, we do too much work to be dealing with this type of stress. And I just, it's bothersome. And like I said, it is just an internal conflict that I could even to bring this forward. But it's like, what else do you do when people are not listening to have a conversation? It shouldn't even gotten to this point. This should not have ever occurred or happened. All you got to say is, you know what, maybe I misunderstood or whatever. She won't even do that. It's like no acknowledgement of what she did was wrong. None. And I don't know what else to do. So that's basically where I'm at.
Okay. Just a couple of really small things. But the public records request, you said you'd made them in the past previously.
No, I said I've never.
You've never made them?
I have never. There is nowhere ever has Stephanie Howse, as a person or as an elected official, ever made a public records request.
Okay. All right. Let me ask this question. Will there be an issue with her making a public records request without the OLBC?
No, and
Well, that's kind of...
that's the point. Again, many of us, I represent Cuyahoga County. I'm in Cuyahoga County. I'm in Cleveland. I know what's happening, the inner workings, because again, what you see is not always there. Everybody know that everybody has their internal workings of how things operate. I only come to Columbus when I'm in the State House. I don't know what goes on at the City of Columbus. I don't know what goes on, Franklin. I just don't know. I honestly don't know. And so that was also a concern, not knowing all the dynamics and all the players. I don't want to step into something, stepping on somebody else's turf. And that's just not how I roll unless I'm a little bit more aware of how things operate. I'm very naive of what's happening here in the City of Columbus, in Howse County. I don't know. And so that's the
Franklin County.
Oh, what did I say? Oh, I do know that. I don't know. I got to get that on record. I don't know.
We understand what you're saying.
No, but that's the thing of I didn't know, and so that was the other thing of trying to contact people in Franklin County, the Columbus area, to say, hey, what's going on? Can you tell me?
I understand. The other thing I was thinking was the OLBC voted her out. Is that correct?
No, she resigned.
Oh, she resigned.
She resigned.
All right.
She resigned.
She resigned. And did she give any comment as to why she resigned or anything?
It's an email somewhere.
Okay. All right. And specifically, you were saying derogatory comments. Do you remember specifics?
It's a list of them. It's in the paper. She said I'm like a bully, stalking. It's somewhere in the paper, but it's like I knew it was 5 things. I didn't remember them all, but it was menacing, stalking, bullying.
And this is directly related to
me.
Okay.
She had specifically called me out, and these are the things that I am. She had sent something to somewhere here in the State House saying these different things, and then also in the newspaper.
And this is pertaining to this case. Why she's saying that? Okay.
This has happened after it, and this was after when I told her to stop using OLBC's names, because we didn't have a conversation. You won't pick up the phone, so I don't know other ways to tell you to stop doing something. This was, I just stopped using our name and likeness because you did not get permission. Okay. And then that's when this letter of saying I use my right, and just
so that's pertaining to
that's yes.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we'll conclude this interview at 12:48.